from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio, this is the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer and Ron Miller.
Welcome, race fans,
to 2020.
It's a new decade of Hammer Down Racing Report.
Ooh, Scott, hard to believe we've been doing this in 2 decades.
Well, we were off last week, so we got a lot to cover in tonight's show, and there's a lot happening. We got the 2019 Limaland Track Champions. We'll be talking to both Todd Sherman and Tony Anderson. We're also going to hear from Gerry Keysor, the announcer. He was originally going to be in the studio tonight, but let me know this morning that he's been under the weather.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. And we're also going to talk about yesterday's racing action at Sandusky Speedway. Craig Dittman joining us in the studio.
There was racing yesterday?
One of the winners. We have 2 of the winners from Sandusky Speedway in the studio.
Really?
The Ron Miller Race Car Studio here with us for the first show of 2020.
That's amazing.
It is. You're pretty happy, too. Were you smiling sort of when Steve's engine broke?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was really looking forward to racing with him.
He looked pretty impressive.
He looked racy.
But we'll talk more about the Sandusky Speedway Hangover Race and all the action that happened yesterday, as well as we got a bunch of news to get to as well. We had the Gateway Dirt Nationals, the Rumble in Fort Wayne, so lots to talk about.
Before we jump into all that, you probably didn't see that Bobby Gerhart.
I did see.
Did you see that one? Okay.
Yeah, he's not going to be
had
racing.
a heart attack, and he won't be racing the ARCA race first time in years. So that's pretty sad.
Yeah. I didn't add that to my notes.
But he'll be all right.
Much. Well, that's good.
Well, he'll be back in a race car. Okay. That's because he's a racer, and it's what racers do.
Was he 61, I think I saw? I think he's only 61, so he's young compared to you, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. We were just talking before we came out. How many decades have you been racing?
I've been racing in 7 different decades, Scott.
And the Hammer Down Racing Report has now moved into its 2nd decade.
Actually, I have won features in 7 different decades. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Not many people can say that, I don't think.
Not many people are foolish enough to race in 7 different decades, Scott.
Well, and you did run in the snow or ice and race on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
I don't know how many sane people would say that, too. Well, so did you, and so did I. So right. I guess there's nobody saying
Actually, yesterday was a really beautiful day.
It wasn't bad.
For January, I think.
I saw you shared that
the
video
2010
from
one?
2010. I was there in the stands that day.
Were you?
That was fun to watch. It was like a blizzard.
Especially the front-wheel drive cars where they went down into the first turn on the green flag and half the field went off into the beans.
They kept going straight.
Yeah.
It was funny. Coming at you live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter and Periscope. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. Listen to us on your favorite podcasting platform, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Google. We did have a Scott Hammer is replacing Bobby Gerhart. That's
okay.
That's according to a former flagman of Oakshade Raceway.
Really?
Yeah.
He needs to rethink that.
That's weird because I had not heard that yet. That's some good news, though. Anyways, where was I?
Well, it's probably from some folks that watched you race yesterday.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I'm sure that's it.
We got to get a hold of that Hammer guy.
And there was an exclusive episode of the Hammer Down Racing Report last week. It was only on iHeartRadio.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and all the podcast. It wasn't on the YouTube video or Facebook video. It's a little best of kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just a little snippet of all the guests we had on last year. I was just putting it together. I was like, man, we talked to a lot of freaking people last year.
And we had a great time doing it. That's the fun part of this show.
And we'll be talking to a lot of people again tonight.
And all year.
Yeah. And possibly next week, you're not going to be here. But we're arranging a special fill-in and a possible fun interview for that. But that's not confirmed yet. It's kind of in the working stage. So we won't say anything yet. It'll be a surprise.
Not to me.
Make sure to give Ron Miller Race Cars a call, 734-856-7223. You got any cars you need to fix after yesterday?
No. One engine we've got to replace, but
you don't do engines.
No, I don't.
You got a guy.
We have a guy, and he's a good guy.
Is there anything salvageable on that motor from Steve's car?
I don't know. It blew the water pump off the front. That's probably not a good sign.
That's not good.
We looked in the hole in the side of the oil pan, and I almost think that the crankshaft might be salvageable. It was a pretty high dollar crank, so if it can be repaired, it'd be worth doing. But yeah, there's a window in the block, and like I say, it blew the water pump off the front. So
will Lightning McQueen be back in time for the season?
He
opener?
will. But we were talking, Kathy and I were talking about that on our way in today, and really, if there was a problem in the engine, it was much better that it showed up now rather than first race of the year. That would really put you behind.
And that's what happened to me twice the first 2 years I did the Hangover Race, where it was okay during the Hangover Race, but then the first race of the regular season, bad things.
So
we'll talk more about the Hangover Race here in just a minute.
Fine.
I want to talk a little bit about the Gateway Dirt Nationals, which were going on, actually just starting the last time we were live in the studio. Rusty got a heat race win, so that was pretty cool. Congratulate him on that.
It wasn't the win he was looking for,
No.
but true to form, one of our guests did win.
So, in the end, Derek Losh won the 10,000 win modified feature. Kyle Larson was the midget winner. Anton Hernandez got upside down and couldn't finish. He ended up 16th there. And Tyler Carpenter beat Brandon Shepard, driving Donnie Schatz's Rocket XR1 in a photo finish for the $30,000 paycheck there. I didn't get to see any of the replay.
I saw some replays, and if you can find it, Scott, it's worth watching. And any of the interviews are definitely worth listening to.
And Rusty Schlenk ended up finishing 12th, I believe it was. Yeah, after some mechanical issues during the feature. Yeah. So
the track got pretty rough, and he bounced hard, caught some air, and broke something in the rear end. The motor revved up and didn't do either of them any good.
I got to see just a little bit of it the opening night, Thursday night.
Right.
Some pretty good racing. Was it pretty impressive? I like it. Yeah, they got the track figured out, I think. At least they did Thursday, as far as putting on some good racing.
Next year, I guess they promised that they will have some better clay. I guess the dirt that they had in there is kind of recycled dirt that they use for motocross, and it didn't hold up real well.
Okay.
And they promised it'll be better next year.
The 22nd annual Rumble in Fort Wayne took place last weekend.
Yes. And they didn't have to worry about that track coming apart.
Because they race right on the concrete.
Right on concrete with Coke syrup.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Make it nice and sticky. Tony Stewart took the midget feature win over pole sitter Cap Henry on Friday night. Nate Franklin snapped John Ivey's win streak by taking the checkered flag in the winged 600 Outlaw main. Ivey stopped on the front stretch and ended up 14th. Saturday night, though, different story. Stewart, though, again, he advanced out of the B main for a second midget victory of the weekend. John Ivey claimed the winged 600cc Outlaw and 600cc non-winged Dirt Outlaw A-main win. So a good weekend for Mr.
Way
Ivey.
to go, John Ivey.
Yeah. It must have been some after effects.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, I don't know if you're familiar, Craig, but if you're on the show, usually you win your next race.
That'll work for me.
Okay. We'll see how that works out. It might be a while, right? When's your next race?
We should be starting off in Lima, I believe. First race of the season. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's late April.
Late April.
Yep.
All right, and then, of course, yesterday was the first race of 2020 at Sandusky Speedway, the annual Hangover Race.
45th annual.
45th annual.
Pretty cool.
It's been a few years. I think it started, I thought it started in 79, though. That wouldn't be 45 then.
Oh, I don't know. They've been advertising 45 years.
Anyways, that guy over there picked up the Champagne Stock feature win, but was it a pretty good race with Craig Dittman here driving the winged bomber, battling the would you call it your late model an outlaw late model, even though
it is
just because it had the sideboard on
it. Right.
But it was your regular late model with the sideboard.
Right. The engine is out of our outlaw car and hadn't been a real priority, but it'll be back next year. Now
you had to chase him down. It looked like either you were kind of taking it easy, or you were having a tough time getting around him. It was
Scott,
hard to tell.
I listened to a couple of my crew guys, and we put some hard tires on. And at the end of the race, it definitely paid off. But, boy, I was worried at the beginning. And I had to go, if I was trying to beat Craig, I had to go where he wasn't. And he was going where it was drier. And I thought, well, I'll just run down here in the water, and I'll get it blown off. And I wound up having to follow him a couple of laps. Got a good run on him and got lucky. But
well, you got by him once, and then he drove right back around you.
Yeah, showing no respect at all for his elders.
Got to make you work. Got to make you work.
What did you think about? Was he tough competition there?
It was as hard as I ever worked to win a race there, Scott.
All right. And then you just kind of put it on cruise control once you got by him?
Well, once I got by him, I had some heat in the tires, and I could pick where I was going to run, and that wasn't a problem then. But trying to pass him, you have to race where he isn't, and that was a problem.
And how many? What's the your win total now for the Hangover race? Somebody was asking.
That was 15.
Somebody thought it was 50, I think. 15?
15, yeah.
15th, all right. And the other guy, Bill Hart.
Wild Bill Hart, he had won 17.
So
I've won 15.
A couple more years, it could become the Ron Miller.
That's 32 out of 45, so old Bill and I have had our share of the wins.
There.
And it's fun. It really is, Scott. It's a great race to go to. I think a lot of the NASCAR guys are finding out that going back to your roots is fun. You know, Tony Stewart, Kenny Wallace, a lot of the
Ryan Newman.
A lot of the Cup guys are going back and running dirt and having a great time doing it.
A lot of them are going to be at the Chili Bowl. I got a list we'll talk about here in a little bit too.
I think we need to. I think racers in general need to start paying more attention to having fun instead of presenting this image and, you know what I'm saying.
You're a big NASCAR fan. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So Craig Dittman over here, he was running two classes. You were doing double duty, running in the Moonshine stock, which is kind of like the
street stock,
mid-range street stock kind of deal, with a sprint wing on top. But you are also running in the open class, the Champagne stock as well. And where'd you end up finishing there? Were you second?
Yeah, finished second.
So that's pretty damn good.
Yep.
And obviously,
no way in the world was he going to win too.
Yeah, that's right, because that was right after you had just won the Moonshine stock feature, and that was a pretty good battle. Tell us about your car and what made you so fast, and why I saw you lap me at least once.
We just worked on the setup. We were gonna put some big tires on for the Outlaw class, but decided to stay with just the setup and focus on making it handle a lot better throughout the day, and it wound up paying off. We stayed with the 2-barrel. And
that was just a bone stock 500 CFM 2-barrel. Tell us about that one, Craig.
Well, KB's got a setup pretty good. KB Carb has a setup pretty good with the 2-barrel to run down with Lyman Eldora rules, and the motor seems to like it. So
basically, the rule there is the carburetor has to have only 2 holes in it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And yours might be bigger than normal?
Actually, that one there is, I believe that one's still gauge legal. I do have a big one that wouldn't pass the gauge, but no, I believe that one still passes the gauge. So.
And Chris Mize did say that he did check the car before.
Yeah, and you believed Chris, right?
He said he was going to give me cookies.
Okay.
I want those cookies, Chris.
And the check's in the mail, Scott. Don't worry.
Yeah. Just like your extra $5 or
That's
whatever
it.
it was. And this was kind of a big win for you, wasn't it? It's kind of a milestone.
Well,
First win since you've been back.
Since we've been back, yeah. We had a rough year last year getting through, and kind of had to take the back seat and play car owner last year, and my brother Dan run the stock car for us last year. Hoping to get back into running full-time this year, as long as we don't have any further catastrophes. So
you're going to be running against Tony Anderson here, trying to get, assuming he's going to be defending his title down there at Limaland.
Yeah, we'll be down. We'll be taking the stock car down between Lima and Eldora this year is what we're going to focus on, what we kind of planned on last year running. So that's going to be our focus.
Okay. And you've run. You're no stranger to Limeland. You've won down there, so.
We got one win, the big one.
Yeah, I remember Gerry talking about that.
Yep.
That was what, not this past year, but the year before, or was it 2 years ago?
I think that was 18.
18. So
yeah,
not this past year before.
Yeah, Keysor Memorial in 18. Yep.
And that wasn't your first time.
That was the first win.
Was it?
Yeah, we've been racing down.
No, but that wasn't your first time racing there. Though.
No.
That was
by
your
no
first
way.
win.
No, I think we started racing down with them guys down. I believe it was 2003. We started. It was either 02 or 03 when we started racing down there, and we usually put in anywhere from 3 to 6 or 7 races down there with Lima, and then race a couple here and there. We usually did the Memorial Day and Labor Day weekend down at Eldora when we could keep the car together for the weekend, for the long weekend.
Okay.
Now you've got enough cars in your fleet, so you're going to have a dedicated Lima car, and then
we got the one car that's going to stay set up for Lima, and then we got the 74 car that we had out there this weekend's going to get all the safety equipment for setting up for Eldora.
Okay.
Eldora rules. So yeah, and then kind of keep that as a backup for Lima, and if we need to switch a gear and run her there.
So, is there any differences as far as the competition between like Oakshade and Lima, or?
There's competition everywhere you go. The competition down at Lima and Eldora is stout. The depth of it seems to be a lot deeper, to whereas you have a huge field, and it seems like there's a lot more guys that are capable of winning any given night down there. Oakshade still has some good competition that we wind up with, just not usually the deep numbers.
Was Jeff Oakes or Terry Rushlow was going to win?
Well, this year was a
Well, you weren't running most of this year, so.
Well, we tried
Toward the end.
we put 2 in there that we really made them work the end of the year, but when we were able to get the 74 out, but the 21 car we were working on through the year and really got it looking pretty good. Yeah, Danny was doing a pretty good job getting that one squared away when we finally got that was kind of like our trial. We were putting a lot of experimental stuff on that to make it work.
So did you find things that worked?
Definitely.
Did you find things that didn't work?
Yes, we did. Yes, there were some don't do that moments. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, good luck in 2020 you going for track championships then?
I think we're down at Lima. Yeah, I don't believe we're going to be running full time at Eldora with work and everything, but I think we're going to shoot as long as I can get the work schedule squared away. I think we're going to be running full season down at Lima.
Okay. And I'm sure we'll see you at Oakshade a couple times.
Once in a while, yeah. I'll be up there. I don't know if we'll bring.
What about you're selling stuff in the pits there?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Doing that. You'll have somebody doing that for you.
As far as it is this year, we should be. I haven't confirmed anything with Chrissy yet, but we should still have at least the parts trailer going this year, and it seems to be doing pretty good. Getting quite a few things, and being out there for 20. I think we're on 20 years that we've been actually racing circle track, so. Being out there as long as we have, we kind of figured out what
you've got a pretty good feel for what's going to break.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Yep.
All right. Let's cover a little bit of racing news here, and then we'll give Tony Anderson a call. We'll start off with him as far as the Limaland champs.
Well, fine.
Did you hear about Bearfield?
Yeah.
Big announcement there just before Christmas. Bearfield Motorsports Park announced back the Saturday before Christmas that they're going to cease operations in 2020 because the landowners want to sell the property. Bearfield personnel had until 12 midnight on New Year's Eve to vacate the premises.
Yeah, I thought that whole thing was a little strange, but
I think there's probably more to the story that we don't know, but that'd be all speculation.
Yeah, I'm not going to share internet stuff, but yeah, that's what I
saw some things
I've read,
as well. And on both sides.
Doesn't
too,
matter.
So, yeah, the end story is it's not going to be racing in Fort Wayne.
It just doesn't seem that way unless somebody steps up. With
a lot of money, it sounds like.
Yeah, other than the current promoter there, who knows?
Well, they got the dirt track on the inside there, so.
Yeah.
You want to be a promoter? You want to be a track owner?
Not really.
Okay. Well.
When I was young and stupid, I did, but Now I'm older and wiser, and I don't think there's any chance.
All right. Also, while we were off, NASCAR Hall of Fame member, team owner, driver, and moonshiner Junior Johnson died at the age of 88. That was the Friday right before Christmas.
Yeah, that was sad. You know, I mean, he's been such a huge part of NASCAR for so long.
Flat Rock and Toledo Speedways have released their 2020 race schedules. Toledo Speedway has only actually 7 auto racing events, not including the monster truck show and stuff, for the entire season. Their schedule starts with the Arca Menards East 200 on Saturday, May 16th, and ends with the Raleigh Beal Classic USAC Silver Crown National Championship on Sunday, October 4th. I always thought that was earlier in the year, the Raleigh Beal Classic.
Yeah.
So,
That's probably whatever fits USAC's schedule.
there you go. Flat Rock's pretty much weekly schedule starts on Saturday, April 25th, with the Motor City 200 CRA JEGS late models, the junior late models, and the modified invitational. Ends with the school bus figure 8 show on Saturday, September 5th. So mostly Saturdays for Flat Rock like normal, but a couple Friday shows sprinkled in. Tulsa Shootout started on Wednesday, that'd be yesterday, with 1,397 entries in 7 different classes. They started with over 400 hot lap sessions, and then they started heat race action.
That doesn't take a toll on a dirt track, does it, Scott?
First class was 34 heat races for the Outlaw non-wing micros. Anton Hernandez started third in his heat, finished second. The top 112 in passing points will transfer to 8 qualifying races later this week. That's same place they're doing the Chili Bowl.
Right.
So that's going on. Speaking of the Chili Bowl, we'll skip to that real quick here.
Where'd it go, Scott?
Oh, here it is.
Oh, good.
Had to skip down. Chili Bowl National start in about a week and a half. There's 300-plus entries for that so far, and they include NASCAR drivers Ryan Newman, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, J.J. Yaley, Chase Briscoe, Justin Allgaier, Alex Bowman, Rico well, he's not a NASCAR driver. How'd he get in that list?
He runs trucks.
Does he?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Yep. Rico Abreu, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., some IndyCar racers, Connor Daly, Santino Ferrucci, whatever.
Okay.
James Davison as well. World of Outlaws, sprint car drivers Donnie Schatz, Brad Sweet, Darren Pittman, David Gravel, and even Lucas Oil late model driver Tim McCready on the entry.
Well, and he runs the big block modifieds too, so he's familiar with open wheel.
Okay. Midgets?
He can drive the wheels off of anything. He's a good racer.
Okay. So a lot of big names, like you were saying. The NASCAR guys getting into grassroots racing.
They enjoy it. It's fun.
After a couple nasty flips for Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell while midget racing in New Zealand, it was rumored that Levine Family Racing ordered Bell not to compete anymore in New Zealand. Even after the following quote from Bell, it's still up for debate as to who made the call of him not racing anymore in New Zealand. But according to Bell, he says, quote, "After crashing on Boxing Day, I decided it was best for me to skip the rest of the New Zealand tour in preparation for the 2020 Chili Bowl and Cup season."
Got to make sure you're healthy for that.
It may have been a suggestion from somebody that said, you may want to not do that. But,
there are a lot of drivers looking for seats.
Yeah. World of Outlaw late model season begins this weekend at Vado Speedway Park. Actually, is it tonight or tomorrow?
I think tomorrow.
Okay. So it's already.
I think practice.
You started the season yesterday. World of Outlaws starting at seasons pretty soon. It's going to be year round. It's crazy, and that's
that'd be okay.
I know. Well, some of us can't afford doing it all year round. I mean, we were talking about. You were saying before we came on about somebody that couldn't race unless they were making money at it. And we're like, people make money at this. What the hell?
Some people evidently do. I once in a while get it. Like yesterday was one day that I actually walked away ahead. But
yeah, you probably made more money than anybody yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't wind up too bad. I think I could buy some dinner, but
my winnings covered my pit passes.
Did they?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I was happy with that.
Right.
How about we give Tony Anderson a call here? He's the Bud Thunderstock champion, actually 12-time champion.
Well, right.
Have you raced against him? I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
I've seen him at Millstream before.
He gets around. Yeah.
He gets around. Yeah.
Yeah, and he runs both the stock car and the modified. Most places you go. We ran against him. I think at Montpelier Mash.
Did you win?
No.
Do you still have your modified, Craig?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be hoping to break that out a little bit this year, and once in a while, and I sure would like to talk the wife into heading down to Florida for February. Not sure if that one will go, but
sounds like fun.
Wish you luck.
Always.
Everybody needs to do it once.
Hello?
Hi, is this Tony?
Yes.
Hey, Tony. It's Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Craig Dittman here in the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. It's the Hammer Down Racing Report. How's it going?
Hey, it's going on very good. Tell Mr. Dittman, go Seahawks.
Nice. I knew you'd like that shirt, Tony.
What's
Oh, yeah. That's
A fellow
been a
Seahawk fan.
Since 86, man.
Yep.
What are you guys like the only two Seahawks fans?
Well,
in Ohio?
we were for a long time the only Seahawks fans that were in the Midwest here. I think 06 started a little bit more of a fan base, but
see, me and you were Seahawks fans when they were getting their butts whipped every year in the playoffs, you know. But
right.
They win a Super Bowl, almost win a second Super Bowl. And now everybody's a Seahawks fan.
Right. Yeah, I was hanging with them when we had the current longest playoff drought streak going on. So yeah,
I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear
They would win their
about it.
division every year and get beat in the first round of playoffs.
Right.
But they made the playoffs. I'm a Browns fan. We haven't been, and that's only because I lived in the Cleveland area.
Yeah, I'm sorry about you being a Browns
I
fan.
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it can't be much tougher than being a Lions fan.
Right.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
now you know how to win. You're 12-time Limaland Thunderstock champion. Is that correct?
11-time Thunderstock, 1-time modified.
Oh, one time. Okay. And you have 24 titles overall.
Yes, 24 titles, man, including 2 of them up at Millstream. It was kind of unique because I won my very first track championship in 1995, Millstream Speedway, and I won it the very following year at the same Speedway and was considered a Flag City championship.
That's the first year I started working down there.
Yeah. So that was my first 2 track championships, and I hooked up with Troy Breidenball in 2000, and since then, him and I have had quite a ride together. I've won a total of 378 features and 24 titles, and I still love racing to the very core. To me, it doesn't matter near as much if I win or lose, as long as I'm competitive and me and my family are having fun doing what we love to do. You know, that matters the most to me.
How do you keep track of all those wins? Because I always ask Ron how many wins he has. He's like, I have no idea.
Really don't.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't keep track of anything for a long time. But what happened was several years ago, I was racing, I think, at Montpelier, Indiana, and they made some announcement I was the all-time wins leader. I'm like, wait a minute, how do they know that? You know, so I started looking back on things and this and that, and I started counting things up. And my mom has been a huge supporter of mine since 1993, since the first year I got into racing, about mid-season, and she keeps impeccable records. And that I was able to track a lot of that down once I started paying attention that other people were paying attention, and since then we've just kind of kept track of it.
So what are some of the other titles then that you've racked up over the years?
Oh man, I've ranked all Limeland titles, several over at Montpelier, Indiana, several down at Lawrenceburg, Indiana, especially the old Lawrenceburg, Indiana. We won one over at Waynesfield, and they were racing the stock cars over there. I've won a lot of races at different tracks too. I won at Butler, Michigan, and Waynesfield, and Eldora Speedway in the stock car. And I've won at Montpelier, Indiana, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, Florence, Kentucky. Limeland Speedway. I used to race Fremont back in the day when they ran stock cars a long time ago. We won a couple races over there, and I'm just showing my age by talking about all the guys all the time I've done this. But I still love to do it, and this past year was a little hard for us. I went through open heart surgery September 20th of 2018 to fix an aneurysm, and one of the toughest deals I've ever been through in my life. And fortunately, I had great family support and actually a lot of racing support. And I worked really hard last winter physically to get back. And I think I'm in the best shape of my life. But I didn't realize how much longer it would take me mentally to get back. And when I first started racing this year, things were a little sluggish for me. And we made a great comeback from about June on, but the 3 months prior to that, things were a little sluggish. And fortunately for me, my car owner and my crew, and I drive for Al and Eric Austin over at Limaland Speedway, and they're modified, and everybody stuck with me. Nobody gave up on me. And I think it's going to be a pretty good 2020 season, to be honest with you.
So what did your cardiologist say when you told him you were going to get back in a race car?
He was a little questionable. He said, "Well, do people your age do that? Still do that kind of thing?" I'm like, "What? Excuse me?" And but I'll be honest with you, he has been great. His name is I can't pronounce the first name, but Arapor is his last name. He's out of Atlanta here, and I got referred up to Cleveland Clinic from Open Arts, and they did an amazing job up there. But he's the one that cleared me to race last February, and even then he was a little standoffish about it. But when I gave him a big hug and put that picture of him and I together on Facebook and showed him how many likes and followers we had on the race page, I think that changed his mind about things a little bit. I think he was okay with it then.
Completely understand.
He didn't recommend you do a shrink or anything after that, did he?
No, I don't think so. At least not publicly, not openly to me. Maybe under his breath a little bit to his assistant. I don't know. But,
now you ran.
I get a little crazy at times, and I get a little emotional. But it felt really good to get another win this season. Like I said, it took me a while. Once we put it in the winner's circle, I think we won 7 times this year. And the first one this year in June, July, whenever that was, felt amazing because I honestly, December of last year, I didn't know if I ever would get back in a race car again. And it was a lot of work and took a lot of help and prayers, but I'm just glad to be alive and doing what I love to do.
Now, you ran double duty as well. You finished 4th in the modified points at Limaland. So, I mean, how much stress is that?
It's a lot of work, but I got to tell you, it's probably more work for the crew because the most challenging part about that, it isn't driving both cars. Physically, I can do that. It's passing in the information of what the cars need in between the races because it gets so confusing between the 2 race cars. And sometimes 3, at the Monster Mash, I was driving a truck for Andy King also. And so you jump out of one, you jump in the other, and you jump in the other, and when you come back to the first one again, it's like, okay, well, where are we at? What are we doing? Everybody's looking at each other like, I don't know. So we make it work. I've got a great team. A couple of my team members have been with me for a long time. We work very well together, and it helps when I drive around Eric's modified also because it takes races and stress off of our equipment. We don't have 2-3 race cars like some people do, and we try to do the best with what we have. And I'm teaming up with Todd Sherman this year, and I'm really looking. In fact, I'm picking up the new race car Saturday morning. I'm looking really forward to that because between him and I, we have a lot of experience and a lot of years of racing, and I got a really good feeling about that hookup.
I'm sure it's probably not a good feeling for all your competitors, 2 champions teaming up.
It's exactly what it is. You can look at it as buying a car off him. You can look at it as he's selling the car to me. But me and Todd have talked about this for the last couple of years, and it finally come to face this year. And we're both treating it as more like we're teammates. We're going to work together. He's what he does for a living, he builds race cars, and what I do not for a living, but almost is I drive race cars, and I got enough experience to give the input that he needs, and he's got even more experience than I do to help me in between the lines and some of the things I might be missing out on. And we've already conquered a few things together, and just the building of this car, and I think there's just some great things to come out of it.
I was going to ask, do you have a preference of driving either the stock or the mod?
Man, I got to tell you, I've been asked that a few times, and I truly love the stock car. I've won races in 7 different divisions, including indoor go-karts and mod lights, and little mod lights, and hobby stocks and super stocks and bombers and modifieds, and if I had a favorite, is probably the stock car, because I just truly love going that 3,200-pound race car around in those turns and how it handles and how it reacts, and I feel the most comfortable in it. The modifieds are fun to drive, but when they're not right on, they're a handful, and I'm sure there's people that come in your show every week that can attest to that, but I just think that if I had to pick out a favorite, it's probably the super stock. I think it's got just enough power to cure my need for speed, but not too much power to overpower those 8-inch tires and keep it under you, and the car's heavy enough that just makes it that much easier to drive, I think.
Okay. You got your first championship, you said, at Mill Street Speedway. I want to get your thoughts on the current state of that facility.
Oh, Scott. There we go.
I had to do it.
I don't think you want to hear my opinion on the air about that whole deal.
Okay. Well,
that is a great racetrack,
yeah.
and it is a complete shame where it's come that whole situation. And I'm going to probably just have to stop right there, because if you get me going on it, you know, all the people that are listening on the air, all they're going to hear is beep, 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 because I think it's a total load of crap what's happened to it and who's laying that thing down. And I don't care who's to blame. It's just total bullcrap. So that's what I think about it.
all right. I can totally understand. So you're playing.
I love that place. That track was amazing.
And it is. It's a great place to race.
It is a shame.
Yeah.
Your plans for 2020? You going to go for another championship or two at Limaland?
Yeah, we've made some changes with we're as far as Limaland goes in the modified campaign. I'm going to run Alan Eric's 2016 Lightning car again. He's made some upgrades, and we're doing some things under the hood I think are really going to help us out. I'm going to run the stock car again at Limaland for sure. I think we're waiting to see what's going to go on with Eldora's schedule, but I'm really pushing that way. We're going to concentrate in that place. I just recently started running the stock car back there again after many years of not running it down there, and we're picking up on some things. And it's a little different than the short track game, but we're going to concentrate in Limaland. We're going to race Eldora, and then I think we're going to float around a little bit, Montpelier, and we like racing up at Plymouth Speedway up in northern Indiana. We're going to play around up there. There's some other races that I've never been to, like the Oakshade 2-day show when they run the modifieds over there. I think I want to attend that this year and do some things I haven't done. But we're going to concentrate big time on the. I like to get back up in the top 15, the national points in the modified. We finished 38th this year, 37th, and I'd like to get our act together there. And it takes a little bit of a budget and some good luck to make that deal work. You got to run a lot of races, and we're going to concentrate on that too. And then I would be running this brand new modified everywhere other than Limaland. We'll be running it, and I'm hoping for some good things with it and some consistency. And we're actually, the car I've raced the last 3 years, my diamond car, we're actually putting Bill Griffith in that this year, and I'm looking forward to teaming up with him with that. And we have Keith Shaughnessy coming back to drive our other stock car at Limaland this year, and we just I think it's important for us to spread it around a little bit. Give people opportunities to race that they don't have a budget to race. Frank Palladino drove one of our modifieds the last couple of years for us, and I think that's more important to me and Troy than just throwing $60,000 into a modified and go out there and try and win every week. I think it's more important to spread it around and have a race team and enjoy doing what you're doing with the people you like doing it with.
Okay. One final question for you. Actually, before we get to your final question, is there anyone, you said a lot of people help you out. Is there anybody you want to recognize for helping you out?
And talk to us about your sponsors, too.
Go. Oh, man, now you're catching me. I can't never remember his sponsor every time I give a speech.
Scott didn't give you a homework assignment?
I tell you what, when I gave my little speech here at Limaland on the front stretch this year, the last night of racing, I even had to borrow Gerry Keysor's glasses to read my note. That's how old I'm getting. But, Texas Roadhouse has been with me for a long time. Sugar Street Bar and Grill, all my sponsors have. Don Jenkins Jewelers, Webb Insurance Company, Charles Lehman Funeral Homes, Mid-American Cleaning Services is owned by my car owner, Troy Bridenball. They're obviously a huge part of our deal. We have Doc Wheeler over at Ravy Chiropractic here in Lima. He's kept me going ever since I flipped a stock car 20 years ago at Millstream and screwed up my back a little bit. He's kept me going every year with that, and he sponsors us. And I think there's a Port Royal Cigar out of Findlay, Ohio. They've been a long-time sponsor with us. I like to, Ross and my long-time crew chief, Neil, and RJ, my mom, my wife, all these people work on this car. They don't just sit around and bench race. My wife washes tires, and she's been in her car helping change gears before. And the guys are in the shop 4 or 5 nights a week working on 3 or 4 race cars. And, my mom, like I said, she's been an integral part of it for a long time. And I just think that without all these people, I have never won any of these races or championships. It's been a group effort between sponsors and people who have been working the race car. I just get to do the fun part and go out there and wheel it around.
I'll tell you right now, you see these guys working on these cars at the track, and it's impressive to see that much stuff done. They are a top-notch team over there.
Well, I appreciate that, man. They work their butts off. Not just on my cars. They're always working on somebody's cars. If mine are sitting there, somebody comes in a flat tire or a car next to us has a problem, you'll always see 2 or 3 of my guys helping other teams out. And that's real important to us because that's the way the team's been through my whole career. And that's a big deal to me.
That's the way racing's supposed to be.
Again,
I agree.
We're talking to Tony Anderson, the Bud Thunder Stock Champion down at Limaland for 2019. Final question for you, and we've been asking this of all of our track champions that we've had on. We've been having track champion shows for all the area tracks here. Final question is, who would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels? You, Todd Sherman, or Gerry Keysor? We're throwing in the Limaland announcer in this one because he used to race trucks, or he still might.
Well, let's see. If you're going to allow me to be biased, of course I'm going to put my money on me.
Because your crew's going to help you out, right?
Yeah. My crew will fix that thing up. I can guarantee you, I have no problem turning left by the time they get done with it. But honestly, I'm probably going to say I think it would be Gerry. I'll tell you why. I think in the first turn, he would probably drive out of that big wheel in there so hard he would take me and Todd out. And he would end up being the first one across the finish line.
All right.
I think that's what would happen.
I could see that. Okay. All right, Tony. Well, we appreciate the time. We got to move on and talk to Todd here, Todd Sherman. And we wish you the best of luck in 2020 and everything you got going on there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate everything you guys do towards racing and everything everybody does. And Craig, nice talking to you, brother. And make sure you guys tell Todd that I say hi. I'll see him Saturday morning.
Sounds good. You have a good one, Tony.
Y'all have a good one, man.
Thanks,
care,
Tony.
Guys.
Bye, Tony. There you go. Tony Anderson. I like him.
Oh, yeah.
Quite a character there.
Oh, the whole crew down there is. They are a great crew, fun to be around, and really a great hand. I'll tell you right now, if you ever needed anything, any one of them will jump to give you a hand. Yep. Good guys down there.
Cool. Another track champion here from Churubusco, Indiana. I just like saying that. I like that. I'm going to try not to dial 911.
Again.
Evidently, it's a problem.
Yeah.
It may have...
911, what's your emergency?
What's the response time?
Well, they called back because you have to hit 9 to dial out and then 1 for long distance. And apparently the 1 registered twice.
His fingers stuttered.
I thought I had hung up before it went out.
Hello?
Hi, is this Todd?
Yes, it is.
Todd, Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Craig Dittman. It's a Hammer Down Racing Report. How's it going?
Going good.
First off, I want to say congratulations on your modified championship there at Limaland Speedway.
Thank you.
You're welcome. How many years have you been racing?
Oh, wow. I've lost track. 1984 was my first year, so that'd be going on 35. I don't know. A lot.
A lot.
How'd you get started in racing?
Oh, my mom actually drove, and my dad built the cars, and racing has just been part of what we've done every Friday and Saturday our whole lives.
Did you grow up in Indiana? Is that where you're from originally?
Yeah, the Warsaw Speedway was one of my first memories, and it's closed, and then Avila, and it's closed also. And
I remember Avila.
my mom and dad. My mom drove. My dad built the cars, but my mom raced at all those tracks.
All right,
Now, she was a full-time racer, not just powder puff events?
No, she was one of the first, registered ARCA drivers, and she ran against the men.
Sure.
She ran when women wasn't even allowed in the pits back in the day.
I know that. There were some pretty crude signs that used to be in the pits.
Yeah. Yep. And so since she was a driver, they let her go in. She was one of the first women to go in the pits.
Was she competitive with the guys?
She was pretty good. I mean, she won, I think, maybe 2 or 3 A mains, and she won, lots of heat races and stuff. But it was like 99% of my friends we've all met through racing, and she just loved the racing people, and she liked being part of it, and she enjoyed it. So she had some magical power over my dad. I finally figured that out after I got married.
So you had a pretty good year at the Limaland. 4 regular season wins. You finished 18th in the national points for the modifieds, and you're 7-time champion. Was it all 7 in the modifieds?
Correct. Yep, all 7. I think I've won 7 King of the Quarters and 7 championships at Lima.
Wow. I saw you got 161 modified wins since 2004. Is that still correct? Do you have got more since then? I think that.
Well,
number
that's basically just UMP stuff.
Okay.
So we've won some non-sanctioned races, and I went to Montana a couple of years ago on a vacation, and I won an IMCA race out there. So
Went on vacation, took your race car.
Yeah. Did you take your car, or did you borrow somebody's?
No, I bought a used one, and I put it all together. And my plan was to go out there, and then I got some friends out there, was to try to sell it. So I won the second night, and then one of my friends from out there ended up buying the car, and so I had a trailer with me, so I bought his car and brought it back. He had a stock car, so I brought it back.
Now, we were talking to Tony Anderson just a little bit ago. I guess he's getting a modified from you that he's going to run everywhere but Limaland, and he's kind of teaming up with you, right?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting for me because Tony's a great competitor, and we enjoy racing with him, and we have similar driving styles. So when there's been so much technology come into this racing, that when you can get input from other drivers to help you out. So me and him, racing together and, at the same tracks all the time, we'll be able to get a lot of input from each other so that we can make the right adjustments.
Now, do you race each other clean?
Well, yeah.
It took a little minute for you to answer that. Has there been any rubbing?
No, I raced against Terry Hall for probably 30 years, and our cars maybe made contact one time, and Terry won all the time, obviously. Tony wins a lot. I do my fair share of winning, and the 3 of us all have similar driving styles. I tell these young drivers, it's like, you got to avoid the contact at all costs, because what it does is flatten your tires, bend your steering, that kind of stuff. And you can't win championships if you're sitting in the infield with a flat tire.
Right.
So Tony drives very respectfully and very, very good. I mean, he knows when to go and when not to go. And on the start of the races, you can get tore up pretty easy, and he's just a very smart driver.
Now, you've raced at a lot of tracks, even this past year, right? Not just Limaland.
Right. Tony runs at Montpelier, and he ran some at Eldora, so he missed a few nights at Montpelier. But
I was talking about you. Didn't you run Montpelier?
Yeah. We ran together there. We ran Kokomo, and we won the ethanol race at Gas City. we try to run close to home. It's just really, really hard with a business, and traveling around a lot's really hard to do anymore. But hopefully next year we can do. We did run a couple of the Summer Nationals races, which was kind of fun.
Okay, that's actually I was going to ask you. What are your plans for next year?
We're going to do the same thing. Lima's such a great place to race. The point fund's really good. The track's always good. So obviously we're going to run there, and then obviously we'll be at Montpelier or something for sure. But we like running Plymouth. And then I think, I'm going to have a couple cars, and I got a guy that has a car he lets me drive. So I think we're going to try to do some more of the Summer National stuff. I
haven't looked at the mod schedule, but there's 5 races. The end of the series with the late models. Are the mods going to be at those shows too?
Yeah. Where was that at?
Well, Plymouth, Oakshade, I think Merritt, Butler, and I forget.
I'm going to kind of put that on my
I think they follow
schedule to run those races, because I think it's like Plymouth and then Butler and then Winston and then Tri-City Speedway.
Yep.
And then I think it comes back to Oakshade then after that.
Tri-City's a nice place. You'll enjoy it.
I think I ran there on asphalt. I think it used to be an asphalt track.
The asphalt track is still there. Actually, you pit on the asphalt, and there's a 3/8 mile, pretty nicely banked track in the middle. So yeah, you'll do well there.
Back in the day, we would run the same car, asphalt and dirt, and I went to Tri-City and ran on the asphalt, and then the next day we went to Crystal and ran, and I won the A main on the dirt there. And
with the same car?
Same car.
Well, absolutely, Scott.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you change the tires at least?
It was the same tire. We probably put new ones on, but it was back in the IMCA days. It was the same tire, asphalt and dirt.
Okay. Well, that's impressive. Speaking of asphalt and dirt, you're not too far away from Fort Wayne, right? Cherubusco?
We're not. Yeah, we're only about 20 miles north of Fort Wayne.
Did you get? I don't even know if they did any modified races when they built that dirt track a couple years ago at Bear Field. Did you get to run there at all?
I didn't, but I think they did run 2 races there, and I was wrapped up in a points battle at Montpelier, so we didn't go. But I did go down and test on the track in a buddy of mine's car, and the news channels was out there, and they wanted a couple people to bring cars out to show them what was going to go on. But it was kind of a neat little track, but it was pretty small.
So, I'm guessing you're not too upset then that Bearfield's not going to be running in 2020.
It's like my business is building race cars and selling parts, so I don't want to see no tracks closed. So they had the half mile and the 3/8, which is asphalt, and they're not necessarily closing it. It's for sale.
For sale,
so
yeah.
Somebody could come in and buy it and do something with it. I don't know. I mean, the price is a little bit high, but we're hoping that somebody comes in, and because I did build a couple new asphalt cars last year for some customers that ran there, so. It would hurt my business, obviously, if they didn't open it back up.
Any desires to be a track owner?
I've often thought about it, but
takes some deep pockets.
It takes deep pockets, and then you're counting on the weather so much. Like Lima had 7 races, and how many rainouts? I mean, it was just unbelievable. And Montpelier was the same way. They had a ton of rainouts too.
I think everybody had rainouts this past season. But I got one last question for you. Before we get to that, though, is there anybody you want to recognize for helping you out this past season? Maybe talk a little bit about your business there as well.
Well, my crew chief for the last several years has been Rick Zock, and he's phenomenal, and he was Terry Hall's crew chief for when Terry was winning all the championships at Lima, and Terry got cancer, and then he retired from racing, and they sold out, and so Rick has been a huge help to me. And then Ferris Commercial Mowers come on a couple of years ago, and sponsored us, and that was a pretty neat deal. I had bought a Ferris mower from John Bibler at Homeyer and Sons, because they always sponsored Bibblers, and my parents always said, support the businesses that support racing. So I asked John, I was like, you guys have Ferris as a sponsor, you guys sell them? Yeah. So I told them I'd take one, and they delivered it. They drove it's like an hour and a half drive, but the owner of Homeyer's dropped it off here, and that's what I was mowing with, and it was just kind of cool to pick up that sponsorship. But Dave Gerry is one of my car owners. I own a couple of cars myself, but Dave buys a new car from me every couple of years, and he lets me drive for him, and that's a pretty neat deal because he does all the work, and then I can just show up with my helmet. So
that works.
That's the easy way to do it.
Pro Strip in Fort Wayne, they do all my powder coating and stuff, and they help me out with that, and they do a great job. All-Star Performance. A lot of the vendors that I use at my shop to sell their products, they try to help me out because I, try to sell as much product for them as I can. So
is that how you do it too, Ron?
Absolutely.
Sounds like you have a similar shop that our Ron Miller Race Cars has.
Yeah, I've never met Ron personally, but there's been a lot of race cars in the area that that he built. That's for sure.
Yeah, we've done a few and enjoy doing it.
It's a lot of fun. It's like it was a hobby for me, and then I built my own car, and other people were like, "Well, would you build me one?" And it actually just kind of snowballed into becoming a business just because I enjoyed building my own cars.
When I first started racing, and you were probably kind of the same way, you couldn't go to a store and buy a race car. You either bought somebody's used stuff or you built your own. And
right. You still can't go to a store and buy a race car. I'm going to go to Walmart, pick up my new Bomber.
You certainly can. Come to Ron Miller Race Cars or Sherman Race Cars. They'll be glad to sell you one, Scott.
Well, I meant not a regular store. You're not going to go up to the car dealership.
A regular store.
You
go to the race car store, Scott.
Okay. All right. Anyways, one last question for you before we let you go, Todd. Again, we're talking to Todd Sherman, the modified champion for 2019 at Limaland, and 7-time champ, as a matter of fact. We asked this question of Tony Anderson just a little bit ago, and we're going to ask you the same question. Who would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels? You, Tony Anderson, or Limaland announcer Gerry Keysor?
Oh, I would definitely win.
And why is that?
It don't matter what the competition is. I play to win. I don't care if it's cards or what. But I actually won the Federal Tractor Pull at our local fair many years in a row, where they got a sled like a regular,
sure,
tractor pulling deal. And so I got pretty strong legs, so I think I could take them.
All right.
Well, Tony said that he picked Gerry Keysor because he figured he was going to drive it so hard in turn one he'd take both of you guys out.
That's a good possibility.
All right, Todd. Well, good luck in 2020, and we appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks for calling.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye. There you go. Todd Sherman, your 2019 Limaland Modified champion. So, cool stuff. How about we give Gerry a quick call?
Okay.
Since he was ill, and I told him we'd call sometime between 7 and 9, and it's 7:59. So, technically, that's still true, right? Got to get the right one here. You can say something.
What do you want me to say, Scott? Just throw me under the bus. Go ahead, Ron. Say something. Just say anything.
Right.
That's how you started out your first show, right?
Yeah.
Just
dead air.
It's all you. Just talk.
Hello.
Hi, is this Gerry?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Keysor, the official voice of Limaland.
I'm not feeling like much of a voice tonight with this cold, but I'll take your word for it.
There's a lot of that going around.
So you're not feeling any better?
A little bit. It's clearing up a little bit, but hopefully I'll be back in top form by May so we can get back to announcing.
All right. Well, We've already talked to your two track champions down there, Tony and Todd. So we just got a few questions for you, if that's okay.
All right.
You raced the dirt truck. Was it a 4-cylinder dirt truck?
Yes, sir.
And did you get to race that at all this year? I know you used to race at Waynesfield all the time.
Nope, never even took it off the trailer this year. On the fence what I'm doing in 2020 because I guess a gentleman, Andy King, who raced stock cars at Limaland for several years, he's actually starting a dirt track truck series for all the 4-cylinder trucks. They started racing a bunch over at Montpelier and Gas City last year, and looks like he wants to keep that class going in some way, shape, or form. If Waynesfield doesn't want to jump on board, then I maybe look at traveling somewhere over the on the weekends when I'm not announcing. So
cool. Wasn't there I thought I remember like a asphalt track extended an invitation to that class after Waynesfield wasn't going to be running.
Shady Bowl invited
Was it Shady Bowl?
a bunch of guys down. I never made it down there. Every time I go to Shady Bowl, it rains out, so I don't want to go and ruin the race for any more fans.
All right. Well, let's talk about Limaland here just a little bit. How was things this year with Tony and Todd taking the championships?
Other than losing the very first month of the season to rain, we lost the entire month of May to rain. But after that, once we got rolling, we had some races that just knock your socks off. Tony picking up his 12th overall track championship, Todd picking up his 7th in the modifieds at Limaland. Todd also winning the King of the Quarter Mile on the final night in the modifieds. Those two guys, their competitive spirit and the way they race week in and week out speaks volumes about the racing we get to see at Limaland.
Okay, and it looked like the points were actually they fairly close and pretty deep through the top 5 there in both those classes as well.
Oh, absolutely. Guys like Daniel Sanchez leading the points. Realistically, all he really needed to do was finish the feature, the final points night at Limaland, and he had problems and didn't. That allowed Tony to sneak in and snag the points championship because of his consistency. Todd, all year, is one of those guys, it doesn't matter where he starts at in the feature, you can pretty well guarantee by the end of the feature he's going to be in the top 3 spot. Picking up feature wins along with that, that's how Todd was able to wrap that up at the end of the season over Jerry Bowersock.
All right. Yeah, this is what I was going to ask you. Do you have any inside information as far as anything planned for 2020 at Limaland that you could share?
Nothing big. Talked to business manager at Limaland Motorsports Park, Stephanie Swallow, tonight. Basically status quo, where we're going to open up May 1st. You're going to see the NRA Sprint Invaders back under new ownership in this year. Ron Hammond's sold that group, and they are going to continue to run mainly at Limaland as their main track, but they'll be traveling elsewhere as well. Our Northwest Physical Therapy UMP Modifieds will be back in action throughout the season, as well as the Budweiser Thunderstocks. Plan on bringing in the dirt track trucks, a few races this year as well. Looking at the big date on the calendar, June 19th, Ohio Sprint Speed Week for the All-Star Circuit of Champions. Mother Nature has not been kind to us the past 3 seasons, unable to get that show in. We are praying that God will work with us this year and give us a beautiful day so we can have the All-Stars in. Tony Stewart's group can come in and put on a great show for all the fans at Limaland.
What night of the week is that?
That's a Friday.
Wasn't the weather the reason that they quit running the ALMS late model series?
That was a big hamper. Every time we tried to schedule late models, it seems like it dumped rain, both the ALMS and when we had the World of Outlaw late models.
Remember it well.
I bet you do. Congratulations, by the way, Ron, on the Hangover Race.
Yeah, well, thanks. It just brings fun back into racing. We were talking about that earlier. Don't know if you caught it, but that race is just it's all about fun, and if you take it seriously.
Yeah, you should have brought the truck out for that.
Yeah.
I've thought about it, but here's my only problem. My dad ran up there, ran it a couple times, and he didn't have good things to say about it because back in the day they didn't they treated it like an enduro race. If you were out of the groove, they didn't throw a yellow flag, and it was like 10 degrees out, I think, that day. He said he nearly froze to death. He was sick for 2 weeks.
Well, there is the cold. That part hasn't changed, but
They take a lot better care of the track than they used to. You know, I mean, there was snow on the track at the top of 1 and 2.
That was ice.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
my son unfortunately blew a motor and put some oil on the track, and they were 15 minutes cleaning it up, and I'm sitting in the car shivering, thinking, my God, folks, this is ice. A little bit of oil's not going to hurt anything.
No, there were chunks.
Yeah.
There were a lot of chunks they were picking up.
Oh, yeah. I guess one of the guys picked up a part of a connecting rod. Didn't inspect it real long, though. I know that.
No, he was like, "Whoa, it's hot." Do you have any insight of as far as things going on at Waynesfield for next year?
I have heard some rumblings and rumors of hearing a 12 to 16 race schedule for them.
Really?
I don't know how true that is. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm really looking forward to seeing racing back there, if not on a weekly basis, at least semi-weekly. Even if it's a couple times a month, that's too good of a track to sit going to waste like a couple other places.
Kind of like Millstream, huh?
Whoa!
Oh, I wasn't going to throw any names out there, but yeah.
I thought that was his job to bring that up.
See, I didn't even do that.
Well, I just beat him to it.
All right, one last question before we let you go and you get better so you can get some rest there. We asked the Tony and Todd this question. Who would win in a race of equally prepared big wheels, you, Tony, or Todd?
Let's just say I'm already reinforcing the front end.
So you were listening earlier when Tony picked you?
Absolutely.
This looks like this would be a fun race to watch.
Those guys are so uber competitive and have been, like Todd said, it doesn't matter if it's cards, racing, you name it, he wants to win. Tony's the same way, and I'm pretty much the same way, too. You know, I come from a long line of race car drivers at Limaland. My dad was a track champion, and I don't know if Tony brought this up. His very first race car that Tony Anderson owned was driven by my dad back in '92 at Limaland. So,
did not know that.
You know, we all would be definitely going for it, and I don't know that I would intentionally take anybody out, but I can't say that I would.
Well, he didn't say you'd be intentional. He just said you'd drive it too hard into one and take him out.
Not lifting, coming into one.
I just drive it in and pray God it sticks.
Yeah, well, you'd be using the other two guys to
I
make
did
it
that
stick.
with Craig yesterday.
But instead of 8 wheels turned, it would be 3, 9 wheels turned better than 3.
There we go.
I did some math. Well, hopefully we get to see maybe a time or two at Oakshade. You've helped me announce down there, and it's much appreciated. And hopefully,
and I appreciate the invites up there. You know, I love coming up and love getting to see all you guys.
I really hope to see him this year on the front stretch again.
Oh yeah, Craig's going to be running down there at Limaland, so he wants to talk to you again.
Craig, I owe Craig an interview. The night he won the Keysor Memorial, we lost our wireless mic. I did not get to do a Victory Lane interview with Craig Dittman, and let me tell you, the number of times I've watched him race the Keysor Memorial, he's been close on multiple occasions. And in 2018, he came out and put on a show, put on a clinic, winning the Keysor Memorial. And I felt terrible that we didn't get to talk to him.
Well,
that was
do it now, right now. This is your opportunity. Here's your Victory Lane interview from 2018. Go.
Craig Dittman, you are the champion of the 2018 Keysor Memorial. Let's talk about all the people who got you here.
Oh, we had a lot of people in the pits that night. Jamie Fowler, my brother Dan, all my family, my wife, my daughter. Everybody was there that night. It was a great prepared track. That track was a blast that night. That was one of the funnest nights I've had on that track, and it is one of the funnest tracks I love racing. I think it was Jeff Matheny that we were playing with up at the front. He wound up getting me on one of the restarts, and we pulled a move out. Ron caught a glimpse of what that move looked like yesterday. Yeah, we pulled that same move on Jeff, getting back around him, and fortunately got to run away with it and get the win that night.
Well, I tell you, in all seriousness, one of the coolest things about that, my dad back in '87 got his first career feature win up at Oakshade in the Bombers, and to see somebody like you that ran the Bombers at Oakshade to come down to Limaland and pick up a feature win, it's a great feeling for me. It's fun to see you guys come down and race with us.
Oh, it's a blast to be down there, and I'll tell you right now, the the guys, the respect that we've gotten from in over the last 17, 18 years that we've been running down there, and we unload. We're competitive when we get down there, and it's a fun time. The stock car drivers, we're hoping to break the modified out a couple times maybe this year and race it down on that track. But the stock car guys are hands down. They show you respect, and it is a blast to unload and have fun down there.
Well, we look forward to seeing you back in 2020 at Limaland. And Scott, Ron, thank you guys for all that you do. Thank you for having me on again.
Oh, we look forward to seeing you at Oakshade a couple times this year.
And when you get better, we'll get you in the studio here.
Sounds good, man. Sounds like a plan.
All right, Gerry. Well, take care of yourself.
You too, guys. See ya.
Thanks, Gerry.
Bye. Gerry Keysor, voice of Limaland Motorsports Park there, and maybe get to do an in-person interview.
I sure hope so. That was a good time.
So about time to wrap things up here. But last week's How Many was actually it's 2 weeks ago when we did this. Wasn't really such as a how many. It was what position was Ron going to finish in the Champagne Stock feature, and you did not sandbag to win this.
No,
since you finished first, and Chris Mize in the studio with us 2 weeks ago, he picked first.
Yeah.
So Chris Mize was our in-studio winner. And only one person actually picked you to win online as far as our Facebook Live audience.
Scott, they're tired of me winning there.
Well,
they don't come to Sandusky to see me lose or to win. They want to see me lose.
I hesitantly say that it was my brother that he said 5 first, that you were going to finish 5th, and then he changed it to 1 later. And I was going to say, well, as I knew somebody else's first guess was 1, I was going to pick them as the winner. Nobody else picked 1.
Really?
So Brian Hammer, he is the winner of the Big D's Pizza. So you'll have to give it Dean Henry there and work that out.
The Big D's Pizza How Many Award.
There you go. Didn't he say he was going to bring pizza to the Hangover Race?
Yeah, we never saw it, Scott.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that until just now.
Yeah. Actually, I thought about it this afternoon when you were talking about cookies and candy bars. Wait, where's our pizza?
Yeah. Well, maybe one day we'll be cool enough to get some.
Yeah, we'll give him next year.
So that was last week's How Many. This week's How Many has to do with tonight's show, as a matter of fact, again.
Really?
Yeah. And surprisingly, it's been very low so far. And we're about done, so it could remain very low. Was how many times is Ron Miller going to mention on tonight's show where he's going to be next week instead of being in the studio? So far, it's been 0.
Well, cool.
So
anybody that follows me on Facebook is going to know.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
Be back downtown here somewhere.
So we're going to give Craig.
Yeah, it could be. Is there a walleye game next Thursday?
There might be.
So
I think it's following something.
We'll give Craig first dibs. How many times is he going to mention where he's going to be in tonight's show?
6. We got time.
Not that much. That seems awfully high, but okay. Kathy?
1.
Okay. So far, it's been 0. He hasn't actually said where he's going to be, and you kind of control it, so go ahead.
Oh, it's 0.
Okay. So, and I'll
no
say,
promotion. You got a
I'll
mic.
say 2.
You got a mic in front of you, and you're not going to promote.
No, I'm not.
If you want to win a Big
If somebody
D's
wants to know
pizza,
where I'm going to be next Thursday, check my Facebook page.
Oh boy!
If you want a chance to win a Big D's Pizza, you can enter your guess as to how many times Ron's going to mention where he's going to be next Thursday night on our comments in the Facebook Live.
Do you have any idea where I'm going to be, Scott?
I know exactly where you're going to be.
Okay.
You're going to be just a couple blocks from here.
I might even be parking out back.
You probably could. Probably be better off.
Mm-hmm. That was my thought.
That's usually where I park when I go to all the walleye games.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Roddy Schroyer has a guess that so far is the same as yours.
Really?
Yeah, you guys must have. You guys are probably in cahoots.
Keeping it quiet, huh?
Mm-hmm. So that's it for the show for this week. Thanks to Tony, Todd, Gerry, Craig, and Ron, since you were a winner.
That's it. Number 1 is show number 110.
This is show 113.
Wow.
Show number 113. Yeah, since we've been started this. So.
Like Kermit the Frog said, time's fun when you're having flies.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
I always thought he
Time's
said it's
fun.
not easy being green. That's what I thought. Wow. Do you remember Robin, his little nephew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like him. Yeah, this show's just gone off the rails now. Next week on the show, working on a big guest since Ron's going to be elsewhere, and working on a fill-in co-host for that next week too. So nothing has been concrete, so I don't even want to say anything about it. Nothing's
It'd
been
be cool.
confirmed. It could be really cool. So make sure to follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter.
And sadly, that's a guest that I've been working on for a while.
I know. You've been mentioning it, and I was like, man, I don't have anything lined up for next week. And you suggested Charlie, and Charlie has the connections. And I was like, hey, see if he wants to come on the show next week. So he's like, hey, that'd be nice to talk to him. It's been a while since I talked to him on the air.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. Just keep an eye on our Facebook page. The guesses on the Facebook aren't where he's going to be. It's how many times he's going to mention where he's going to be. They obviously know where you're going to be.
You think?
Well, he's actually mentioned it a couple times. He just hasn't mentioned the title of it.
Well, or where.
Right, he implied
it, but he
correct.
did not, so that doesn't count.
Well,
until he actually says the two words of the place of where it's going.
The Huntington Center.
Until he says that.
Until he says it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to because Craig already did.
Yeah. I can't move this mouse.
Does that count?
There we go. All right, it's time to get out of here. Thank you for coming in, Craig.
Thanks for having me.
Late notice on that.
Oh, yeah.
After the win yesterday.
Right. And then we had to go to work and got up and not a problem.
All right. Well, good luck on your championship run at Limaland and racing at Eldora and everything else you got going on.
Anytime you want to head down, just let me know. We'll take you.
All right. And you have to hook me up with Brian there so I can get my sprint wing next year. For next year's hangover.
Well, hey, if it's going to be cold, you can borrow mine. Temperature's got to be up there for me to be at that race.
It was 39. It was nice. Sun was out.
It started off a little cold.
It was a little.
Started off a little chilly.
All right, we're out of here.
Yeah,
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, you will.
We'll be back next week right here on Facebook Live. And don't forget, you can listen to us on demand, iHeartRadio, Google, iTunes, wherever you listen to podcasts. That's where we're at. We'll always be there, invading your dreams.
That's it.
And nightmares. I know.
I was going to, yeah.
You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio. Listen on demand on iHeartRadio,